A man once stood in silence beneath the stillness of a Bodhi tree, not to flee the world's noise, but to understand the root of its sorrow. What he found there was not an escape from life, but a return to its essence. The heart, where all turmoil is born and resolved. The power to transform life lies not in wealth, nor in influence, nor in fame. True change begins when the mind starts to cleanse itself. Real transformation is never abrupt. It arises through quiet, consistent, and often invisible acts. These are called habits, but in the Zen tradition, they are rituals of awareness, delicate yet unwavering, silent yet profound. They steer the river of fate without resistance. Zen whispers, to know the world, know yourself. To master the self, follow the breath. And the Buddha teaches, greater than 1,000 victories is the one who conquers himself. Hidden in these teachings is a truth seldom seen. To change your life, you do not need more, you need less. Less ignorance, less distraction, less excess. And in that sacred lessness, your true power begins to rise. Let us now walk together through the teachings of the 3 most powerful life-changing habits in Zen and Buddhist philosophy. These are not new inventions. These are ancient rivers waiting to run through your soul again. Each habit shall be told through a story, immersed in reflection, followed by a deep teaching, and finally sealed with practical insight for the transformation of your daily life. Habit 1. Sacred silence, the power of speaking. Less and listening to the inner wind. In a forest where sound rarely escaped the air, a wanderer came across a stone shrine. At its center sat an old monk, eyes closed, lips unmoved. Days passed, not a word spoken. Birds landed near his shoulder, wind brushed his robe. Still he said nothing. On the 7th day, the wanderer cried, "Why don't you speak? Are you too wise or too proud?" The monk opened his eyes, gently smiled and whispered, "If you knew the cost of words, you would save them like pearls." What you speak controls others. What you hold in silence controls yourself. The wanderer bowed. For the first time he listened, not to others, but to the soundless world inside him. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of awareness. In Zen, silence is a weapon, a temple, a sanctuary, and a mirror. True silence is not passive. It listens to thoughts. It observes without judgment. It contains every answer because it allows every question to dissolve. Why does silence change a person's life? Because the one who listens more and speaks less sees clearer. Thoughts become calm. Intentions become pure. Noise no longer rules the nervous system. In that silence, the soul begins to whisper truths long forgotten. Buddhism teaches right speech, one of the steps in the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech means not just avoiding lies, but also avoiding unnecessary chatter, slander, gossip, and vanity. Every word carries karma, every silence carries peace. In a world addicted to loudness, silence is rebellion. But that rebellion heals. That rebellion is spiritual. One who embraces silence is no longer pushed by emotion. They no longer react, they respond, they pause, they see. They don't waste breath convincing others. They speak only when the soul demands it. Silence is where true transformation begins. Silence is meditation. Silence is discipline. Let this be your first life-changing habit. Make time every morning to sit in complete silence. No phones, no distractions, no talking. Just observe, watch your breath, watch your thoughts, and say nothing. Let the storm pass. What begins as stillness becomes sacred. What begins as a pause becomes power. Habit 2. Radical mindfulness, training the mind to stay in the moment. In a dry season, a young man carried a leaking pot to collect water from the stream. Day after day, the water was always gone by the time he reached home. A monk observed and asked, "Why do you rush with that pot if you know it leaks?" "I must go faster, so I don't lose more water," the young man said. The monk replied, "Going faster only spills it quicker. Sit still, patch the pot first." The young man paused. He noticed the holes. He took the time to mend them. In his stillness, he saved the water. In his presence, he saved his effort. What the pot is to water, the mind is to life. A leaking mind cannot hold joy. A distracted mind cannot hold peace. A scattered mind cannot transform. Mindfulness is the art of sealing the pot. Zen doesn't ask you to escape the world. It asks you to be present in it. Cut vegetables with full attention. Walk without staring at screens. Eat without rushing. Breathe with awareness. When you are fully present in one act, your soul returns to you. Buddhism's foundation rests on sati, the Pali word for mindfulness. It's not a luxury, it's liberation. Most suffering doesn't come from what happens. It comes from overthinking what happened or fearing what hasn't. Mindfulness ends both. To be mindful is to be free. It breaks the illusion of time. It brings your mind home to the body. It allows you to see things as they are, not through your trauma or your ego. Imagine walking without anxiety, eating without distraction, listening without preparing your reply. That is mindfulness. That is mastery. And yet mindfulness is not a technique, it is a way of living. Start with the breath. Every time your mind drifts, return to it. Feel each inhale like a wave, feel each exhale like release. When the mind wanders, smile and gently guide it back. One mindful breath can stop a war within you. Make this your second life-changing habit. Practice mindfulness every moment, not as an effort, but as a return. Wash your hands with awareness, drink tea with attention, speak with presence. That is enlightenment in motion. Habit. 3. Letting go. Daily, the mastery of non-attachment. A teacher carried a heavy sack on his back every day. His student asked, "Why do you carry that burden?" "It reminds me of the past," the teacher said. "I carry my memories." One day the teacher tripped, and the sack tore open. Old items, broken objects, and meaningless stones fell out. The student laughed. "This was your treasure?" The teacher sat quietly. "I carried what I never needed." From that day on, the teacher walked freely without the sack. Attachment is not love, it is fear disguised as possession. It is the belief that your happiness depends on something outside of you. Buddha taught that attachment is the root of all suffering, not because things are bad, but because we cling to them when they change. And they always do. People leave, bodies age, wealth disappears, even memories fade. To attach is to resist reality. Zen teaches the art of mu, or emptiness. Not emptiness of life, but emptiness of ego, expectation, and identity. When one lets go, nothing is lost. What remains is freedom. To let go does not mean to abandon. It means to release your grip on control, to allow life to flow. What you let go of today frees your hands to hold tomorrow. What you release returns to you, purified. What you stop chasing finds you in peace. Letting go is not once. It is a practice, like bathing. It is done daily. Release grudges. Release expectations. Release the identity that binds you to your past. Make this your third life-changing habit. Every evening before sleep, close your eyes. Recall everything that weighed on you, disappointments, fears, insults. Inhale deeply. As you exhale, whisper in your heart, "I let go. I return to emptiness. Sleep like a monk. Rise like the sun." The path that begins now. These 3 habits, silence, mindfulness, and letting go, are not mere suggestions. They are the inner architecture of a strong soul. They don't need force, they require consistency. And in them your whole life shifts. Zen teaches, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. This means that the world doesn't change, you change, and when you change, the world becomes peaceful, even if it stays chaotic. When you keep silent, your words gain weight. When you become mindful, your moments gain meaning. When you let go, your spirit becomes light. Practice these habits not for show, not for applause, but for your own awakening. The world honors the awakened by how it can no longer control them. Let this teaching now walk beside you, not as theory, but as practice. And when one asks what changed your life, you may simply answer, I return to myself. Living the teachings in a world that never pauses. Each of these habits is simple, yet their simplicity holds power, because the world is moving too fast, speaking too loudly, and clinging too tightly. These practices bring you back to what's real beneath the surface of noise, anxiety, and desires. The truth is, transformation does not begin when life gets easier. It begins when the mind becomes wiser, and the wisdom comes when you break the momentum of unconscious living. Now let us reflect further on how each habit refines not just your experience, but your very identity. Silence is not emptiness. It is fullness without clutter. Silence does not mean isolation. It does not mean being passive or weak. True silence is the ability to sit with your thoughts without needing to act on them, to watch an insult arise in your heart and not respond, to hear praise and not become inflated. Silence trains your inner witness. You begin to see the machinery of your mind, how one word triggers anger, how one memory fuels pain, how one desire leads to restlessness. In silence, you notice the loops. And once you see the loop, you no longer get caught in it. Without silence, the ego remains noisy and reactive. With silence, you dissolve the false self that always needs to prove something. Ask yourself this. Can you be comfortable in your own stillness? Can you go a day without explaining, justifying, or reacting? Can you become so quiet inside that even your heartbeat sounds loud? If yes, you are already awakening. Those who speak only when necessary conserve energy. Those who speak constantly spill their essence. A river that runs wild becomes muddy. A river that flows with awareness becomes pure. This is why silence is not weakness. It is restraint born of spiritual discipline. Mindfulness turns the ordinary into sacred. The mind wanders because it is not trained. It's not evil, it's just undisciplined. It jumps from thought to thought because that's easier than facing the moment. The moment is sharp, it has no distractions, and that makes it powerful. You eat, but you don't taste. You walk, but you don't notice the path. You speak, but forget to listen. This is the unconscious way. But with mindfulness, every act becomes a doorway into presence. The secret gift of mindfulness is self-possession. You stop being pulled by every emotion. You become centered. The world no longer hijacks your peace. When you are mindful, you taste the tea as if for the first time. You feel your body sitting and realize how much tension you carry. You walk slower, but you go deeper. The world becomes alive again, not because it changed, but because you began to notice. Mindfulness teaches you to say, this moment is enough. This breath is life. This now is sacred. It is not about doing less. It is about doing one thing with full presence. And when presence fills your life, suffering begins to dissolve like fog under the morning sun. Letting go is the death of ego and the birth of peace. You were never meant to carry everything. The mind that clings is heavy. The heart that holds on is burdened. Most of your exhaustion is not from action, but from inner resistance. You resist what happened. You resist what is. You resist what could happen. That resistance drains your spirit. To let go is to say, this pain no longer defines me. This person no longer controls me. This dream no longer imprisons me. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop attaching your identity to things that are temporary. It means loving without ownership, giving without expectation, leaving without hatred. Letting go is not losing, it is freeing your soul from illusion. As long as you believe peace comes from possession, you will always be at war, but the one who lets go finds they had peace all along. The art of release is the beginning of wisdom. Practical ways to weave these habits into your life. Spiritual growth is not about adding more, it is about becoming more present with less. Here's how to embody these habits into daily life. Morning silence. Ritual. Upon waking, sit for 10 minutes. Do not check your phone, do not speak. Just breathe and observe your thoughts without reacting. Let this be the anchor of your inner stillness. mindfulness, reminder. Practice. Set 3 reminders throughout the day. When they go off, pause. Take 5 conscious breaths. Observe your surroundings without labeling them. Return to what you are doing with full attention. Evening letting go. Meditation. Before sleep, visualize each thought, grudge, and expectation as a leaf. With every exhale, let one leaf fall into the river. Watch it drift away. End your day in emptiness. Repeat this rhythm. Repetition becomes ritual. Ritual becomes nature. And nature becomes your new self. The way is always within. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be aware. These 3 habits, silence, mindfulness, and letting go, are not achievements. They are companions on the path to awakening. Zen does not seek to make you superhuman. It seeks to make you fully human, aware, alive, and aligned. Buddhism does not give you escape. It gives you tools to meet suffering with wisdom and life with presence. And so the teachings whisper, certainly. Here's a refined and poetic version of your script, maintaining its spiritual tone while enhancing the flow and clarity, ideal for a video outro. You are not what you own. You are not your fears. You are not even the image you hold of yourself. You are the awareness, quiet, vast, eternal, behind it all. Speak with silence in your words. Step with mindfulness in your path. Hold release in your heart. Then you won't just change your life, you will awaken from the illusion of it. This is the ancient way, the sacred return to the self. And the time to begin is now. Thank you for being here. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing for more mindful reflections like this. Click the subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a moment of stillness. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what speaks to your soul or what you'd like to see next. Until next time, walk gently.